Hello, so in this video we're going to take a look at some of the basics of navigating a website and taking a look at our HTTP service. So for this particular video I'm going to be using my Metasploitable computer, the MSF admin account, along with just a Kali account or Kali computer here to act as the neutral bystander who can go and view the website. So the important thing to understand from the start is that Metasploitable is a computer that already has a website running. Nothing had to be created or installed. It comes with this particular build. And if you remember previously, when we were doing the CentOS routing example, we ended up accessing the website that's currently running. And we did this simply by visiting the IP address. So the 192.168.1.101, that's the IP address for my Metasploitable guy right now. Sent me to this particular page. Okay, so this is the website that he's actually running right now. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to show how does some of the backend, how does some of the files and management for running a website actually look like when you're in Linux. Now, there are a couple default directories that are oftentimes used for running a website, but realize that depending on the actual user configuration, they might have specified a different location. So just because you go to this location and nothing's there, doesn't necessarily mean you don't have a website. It could just be the files are running off of elsewhere. But the common place where most of the stuff runs in Linux is in a folder off of our root directory /var. Okay, and if we take a look there, inside there is a location called www. So I'm going to go to cd var www, and let's do an ls in here. Okay, so this is just another location where we commonly put web structures. We commonly put websites. And when we do an ls in here, you'll see and actually, let's do an ls-l to take a quick look at permissions as well. You'll see here that if you remember that very first bit in our permissions indicates that a bunch of these are directories, but there are two files in here as well, specifically index.php and phpinfo.php. Okay, so there's two files in here. The rest of these are directories. And the important thing to understand about a website is that when you're running through the core fundamentals of a website, it's really just navigating through files and directories, just like if you were to open up a folder and start double-clicking on folders. The big difference is you're looking at it through a web browser, not through a folder file explorer, something like that. So what we can do here is we can understand that there is one page, one file that's running the host, the home website here at 192.168.1.101. And that particular file is located in this structure at index.php. All right, and that's that particular file there. So let's take a look at this file. So I'll do a sudo to access this file. And let's do a maybe nano or vi, whatever, nano index.php. Let's take a look at this guy. So when I open up this, you'll see that this is a PHP coded file, all right? And so it starts with some PHP code. Okay? You end up having this HTML, head, title, Metasploitable to Linux, okay? And then we ended up closing it. And we have some text that actually shows up on the page. And as you continue to scroll down, you'll see here's where you end up getting the links, the ahrefs that end up saying for TWiki and PHPMyAdmin and DVWA and all these others. Okay, and you end up kind of taking a look here at the code that's actually running this website. And one that we're going to check out is just DVWA. That's one of the links off of here. And you'll notice what it links to is actually a folder. You see it says in here /DVWA/. Okay, so what that means is that this particular link, the DVWA text that's showing up over here on the left, all in caps, tries to access a directory in the current location that's called DVWA. And that's what this file is actually doing. So this is the file that actually runs the website. And let's see what would happen if I were to, I'm going to hit a Control X here and do my ls again so we can kind of remember. You see in here I've got the link for DVWA. If I were to click on this link, it now takes me to this other page. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm navigating into the structure on the right in my Metasploitable guy to cd dvwa. Okay, I'm now in this particular location. When I do an ls in here, you see I end up having more web pages. Okay, there's a whole bunch more. There's security, a setup, a PHP, hackable, configs. A whole bunch of different files are located all within inside this structure here. And you currently see that when I went to this DVWA, the default is to go to login.php, and that was one of my pages over here. So if I were to do something like sudo nano login .php, you see here's the particular code that's actually running the page that I see on the left. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of different code here that's going to run this whole username, password, and everything, and then all the way down to the bottom of this where it actually indicates what you're supposed to log in as. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page over here, it says, hint, the default username is admin with a password of password. Okay? So this is what we're trying to understand, though, is that whenever we have a website that's running off of our Linux computers, there's just files and folders that are running these, and knowing where those are gives you the idea as to how my website is actually being run for those that visit the web page itself through a browser. The next thing that's kind of important to understand here is what if I wanted to make a change to one of these? So maybe I'll go back and I'll just make a change to the main index page, this 192.168.1.101. So we'll do a cd ... to kind of go back to this. And in here, remember, this is where we had that index.php that was being run. And if you remember from the privileges in ls-l, the privileges on this particular file are read-write for the owner, and the owner is www-data. So apparently there's a user on this called www-data, and they're the ones with read-write. Everyone else only has read permissions. Okay, so I'm logged in as MSF admin. I'll have to do a sudo to actually override those permissions and allow for me to make a change. So I'm going to go sudo nano and then index.php. Okay, and in here I'm just going to kind of scroll down and just write underneath my login somewhere. I'm just going to type right in, hello, James was here. And I'm going to save this. I'm going to press a Control-X, Y, Enter to kind of overwrite this particular place in the file. And what do you think is going to happen when I update the page over here? You'll see the text actually gets typed in, okay, all live here on the fly. So we're seeing how there is a file on the computer. That's what's creating the web page, and it's through PHP or through something like HTML that's what's usually going to be creating the pages that we see in our browser. Simply by typing and modifying these files would be a way that I could have text show up on the other side. Alternatively, if I wanted to go in here and start messing with the links and start messing with how this guy operates, your battle really now becomes how well do you know PHP or how well do you know HTML? Would you know how to come in here and actually change some of the code? If you could start modifying the code to this file, you certainly could start modifying how these links are going to behave. Okay, so this is all good stuff for understanding the basics of websites.